It seems like Crossroads is going to become the Ghost of Tsushima show, just like it used to be the Cyberpunk show. But so I might as well just start prefacing it by saying it's not an episode of Crossroads if we're not talking about Ghost of Tsushima. So, so here we go. Ghost of Tsushima PS5 upgrades are not generic hardware upgrades, according to the developer. All right. This news comes to us from Zarmina Khan at PlayStationLifestyle.net. Here we go. When Sucker Punch Productions and Sony Interactive Entertainment lifted the curtains on Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, many were surprised and upset that the PlayStation 5 specific features were paywalled, requiring existing players to fork out an additional $9.99 at a minimum to enjoy features exclusive to the new hardware. In the past, such upgrades have been offered for free, leading to Sony attracting criticism for the new pricing strategy. In an interview with Australian publication Press Start, Sucker Punch creative and art director Jason Connell said that the upgrades in question are not quote-unquote generic hardware upgrades. They have been incorporated into the Iki expansion and are tightly connected to Jin's experience on the island. All right, in a direct quote, the thing that I think is important for people to know is that those features that make it so specific to PS5, we didn't just work on those as a generic hardware upgrade. They are fully enveloped into the Iki expansion and Jin's experiences on Iki. They were tightly connected to one another, so that's the main reason why we didn't look at them as kind of separate. We really wanted those two to sing together, and that's the base reason for why we did it. Elsewhere in the interview, Connell revealed that Sucker Punch has added the ability to hide the quiver in the game because it's somehow a very commonly requested feature that wasn't too difficult to implement. Okay, so Nelly, you already know this. Ed and Josh, you may not know this. I have not played Ghost of Tsushima yet. I have not played it. As a matter of fact, Austin and I we're holding out for the PS5 edition.
Right. We've talked. I've been on the show when we talked about it.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about that for a second. So here's a question. Do you feel that Sucker Punch's explanation was a good enough justifier for an additional price tag coming with the director's cut?
No. Not at all.
Is that all you're gonna is that I feel like there's more.
No, I mean, I'll expand on it. Just like quite bluntly, no. I think it's bullshit marketing, is what it is. I think in a world where you have, and I really hate to keep drawing equivalencies, but like I said, competition breeds excellence, right? And I think it looks really, really bad on you when you're charging for the 4K 60 frames upgrade. And I get that there's a few other things. Okay, you can hide the quiver. Whoop-de-fucking-do. That's called a QOL change. That's quality of life improvements. When we get to the point where we're starting to charge for that, this is Sony tiptoeing to see what they can charge for that we won't raise a fit about. But when your competitor is putting out FPS boost and auto HDR for games that came out on the fucking 360 and is putting them out for early Xbox One games even all the way through their life cycle, that looks really bad. When they've committed to doing that for all of their first-party games, it looks really, really bad on you, especially when the game is a year old. I have no problem with charging for Iki Island. That as a $20 expansion, zero problems with it whatsoever. I like single-player DLCs, especially in games with a great world, with an engaging narrative. No problem with that. I have a problem that these changes, these QOL changes, are only accessible if you pay for them. That is ridiculous.
Well, let me hold on a second, Ed. Hold on a second, because I have a word. I have a word on this point. With everything that's going on right now, I have a funny feeling. I think based off everything we know right now, based on like the additional price for like the director's cut edition and the expansion and all that stuff, I'm starting to think that Sucker Punch had already decided to move on from this game. They did the expansion content, which added the co-op and the multiplayer stuff to it. They added the new modes and all that stuff. And I think that was their final part of the roadmap for this game. And I have a funny feeling that they had already moved on to like either a new property or in the planning stages of a new property and stuff like that, and were asked to come back to do something. I have a funny feeling like Iki may have been an actual sequel.
I think Iki was the beginning of the sequel, frankly.
Yeah.
We had this discussion the last time Ed and I were on here about the Death Stranding director's cut during the State of Play. And
yes.
we went down kind of the same line of thought that we felt that Kojima had moved on from Death Stranding.
Yes.
And got asked to come back to it.
Well, so thinking about, because we mentioned Skyward Sword earlier in our bonus talk, and we was talking about definitely on Pod Block. Sorry, I had to bring that up. I had a Doc Mode section about people rebuying games. Are we paying for the work that goes into it? Because I think that's something that we don't think when it comes to price points and stuff, and paying for upgrades in games, the work that goes into it. You know, there is a budget that these companies do set aside for games that are getting upgrade or getting reworked on, and maybe we selling it, they want to be probably compensated or make some revenue or whatever the case may be, to we get that money back from that budget. I don't, if the same thing is happening with Sony, that may be the reason. I just don't know fully. I think the director's cut thing for the PS5 version is kind of baffling, just altogether, because it feels like there was no mention of this game after it came out. And like, I agree with you, LeRon, that when they finished all that stuff last year that came out, that Sucker Punch was going on to the next game. Maybe Sony told Sucker Punch, hey, start working on support the new version for it.
It's a possibility. It's a possibility. I'm sorry, I broke your train of thought. I'm sorry.
So maybe that's what Sucker Punch was doing, and maybe Sony just be like, we need to, because they made money. I think they made their money back from the original PS4 version because it's so well.
They made it back in the first week.
Yeah. So they probably feel like, since we're putting all this effort and time from whatever the last thing that you guys did to what this game is, we gave you guys a budget, so now we got to make that money back. We got to make that budget back. So maybe this is the reason of why they are charging. Now, for Xbox, because of them setting the standards that they're upgrading stuff for free for old games, Ghost of Tsushima isn't an old game. Death Stranding isn't an old game. Yes, it is last generation and it's a couple years old, but it's a game that's already been out, and maybe, like I said, they probably got a budget for this new content that they're trying to make money back on. So maybe that may be the reason. I think the price point of everything is confusing. It's the upsetting part. Instead of just making it okay, if you got the $70 version of the game, then yes, for PS5, that's great. If you got the PS4 version, you'll get everything for an extra $10, so that the $70 equals together. That you got all the upgrades, you got the expansion, you don't have to do anything else. Added the $29.99 and all of that crazy mess, that makes no sense. Everything should have just been $70, because you're literally, for the PS4 players who got the game, they're paying more than the $70 version. In a sense, if you got to pay in a certain
way. But here's the thing about it: they don't have to pay that. They can stop right where they're at.
Oh yeah.
I mean, okay, it sounds harsh, but you know what? Like you guys know me, I'm kind of a realist. Like it sounds harsh, but you know, they don't have to pay that. They don't have to get the PS5 upgrades. They don't have to do the PS5 edition if they don't want to. They can stop right where they're at. And you know the good damn news is, like, they don't have to spend the money on it. They can play the base PS4 game on the PS5 and it won't be a problem.
Exactly.
It is, and I think that's why people are. I think with this thing, that's why the review for this game is going to be important. And the reason why I say that, because that may be the deciding factor of why people want to play it. Don't go on Metacritic trying to look up the score. Don't go on Metacritic 2 days after and see what people think, because they're going to rate it whatever they want. Literally pay attention to what the review says. If it pinpoint that you gonna get an experience for that $10, if you decide to do it, then go ahead and get it. But if it's not really adding too much to it, then yeah, don't even look forward to it.
Like pretty much play it for yourself.
Yeah.
If you
Or
want.
exactly.
If you want. If you want.
But you know, this all goes back to conversations I've had. Like we're on episode 47 of Crossroads. We've had these conversations since the beginning of the show started and stuff like that. Like gamers have to take responsibility for what they're going to do when it comes to their gaming habits and stuff like that, you know. And here's the thing about it, you know, like I didn't buy Ghost of Tsushima when it first came out on PS4. I had quite a few times, like hell, the game even dropped to $30 and I almost bought it then, you know. But I was like, well, I know a PS5 version is coming for it because guess what? Everything tracks. Like games are, and this has happened on almost all consoles since the PS2 era. Games that release at the end of a console's life cycle show up again at the beginning of the next console's life cycle and stuff like that. So you know, at this point, we've been doing this for 20 plus years now. At this point, you can expect a next gen version of a game that just came out like within a year prior to the next gen consoles coming out and stuff like that. So, you know, I asked the question earlier, are gamers just too self-entitled with this? And I feel like the answer is yes, because the simple fact is that to a degree, a lot of people knew these games were coming. Like, I mean, hell, like Spider-Man got remastered and bundled with Miles Morales. And that's a launch title technically for PS5 now. You know, stuff like that. I spent $70 for Spider-Man and Miles Morales, even though I already bought the game once on PS4. I already had the game.
And see,
I can go grab my case for the original Spider-Man game for PS4 right now and show you guys.
In our pop block discussion, LeRon, I think I even asked you this: why is it and just an example, I was like, why does Nintendo get a lot of criticism for re-releasing games at $60 or whatever price point, and they tell you what all they did, but then when Sony and Microsoft do it, and whatever they charge, no one says anything.
Wait, hold on, because that sounds like it's an unfair assumption there.
Yeah, but I think with the talk, like this director's cut of Ghost of Tsushima, this is the first time that I have seen upset from the community about a PlayStation game.
Why weren't they upset about Final Fantasy VII Remake? Because Final Fantasy VII Remake had a price tag attached to its update.
Isn't it like what, $30 or something for it?
Yeah.
And no one said anything.
Yeah, I mean, so people are picking and choosing what they do and don't want to do. And if I'm wrong out there, like someone let me know if I'm wrong about this. But all I'm saying is like people are picking and choosing stuff like that. You know, is it because it's a first party Sony title? So like, you know, like that's what's getting the ire, because Death Stranding is also technically a first party Sony title, even though technically released on PC. But I said this a couple of weeks ago. I think this is the testing ground, because it was never promised to us that every PS4 game that makes it PS5 was going to get the free updates. You know, people made the assumption because Microsoft has smart delivery. People made the assumption, but Sony never made any promises. Because I remember, like Nellie, remember on the very first episode of Crossroads, we had a lot of developers that were giving pushback to the fact that they had to go back in and do work to get these upgrades done.
Right.
I remember.
And that's the thing that I asked my panel, which is like, I think gamers don't realize that sometimes you have to pay for the work that these budgets are for them to do. They gotta recoup that money, because if they're doing all of this work and they feel like they're not getting paid for it, those companies are going to be like, well, why do we even to break anything? Because we're not making no money off of it and stuff. You know, and I don't blame Microsoft at spoiling anybody. Microsoft got to bear like, hey, put it in the system with us to work that it upgrades it. Sony and Nintendo. Oh, go ahead, Nettie. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna ask, like, don't developers make their cut at full price?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Metacritic bonuses are paid out then as well. So they would have already been paid over and over for it. I mean, so I want a quick backtrack. LeRon, you were wondering if Final Fantasy VII's stuff was part of the paid update. It was not. That was provided at no cost if you already owned the game.
Okay, I couldn't remember
Yeah.
because I just
No,
remembered I
the,
had
the
to,
improved
I just remember I
visuals,
had
the
to,
frame rate, yeah, all the QOL
Yeah.
changes were given to you if you already owned it. It was
Yeah.
if you had it through PS Plus, you did not get
There we
it.
go.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank
you-
you. I knew
should
some. I knew
cause an
something wasn't right
uproar.
about that. I knew something wasn't
So
right
it's
about
the
that because
deal-
I remember spending. I remember spending
You
money for the
still have to
DLC.
pay. You have to
For
pay
the
for the
DLC.
story content.
Yeah,
It was a
$20. It was just
upgrade.
$20. Yeah.
And again,
Okay.
so I mean, that's my problem with the Ghost of Tsushima thing is not. I have no problem paying for content if the content is worthy. I have way of a bigger problem paying for a 4 to 5 hour expansion in Final Fantasy VII Remake than I do than a $20 I would feasibly be paying for Iki Island. I have far less of a problem there because this I liken to, it's an expansion. They're promising 20 hours of gameplay, a full-on story. Cool. That's what this should be for a single-player game.
Yes.
I think it sets a. I want to phrase this carefully. I think it sets an almost dangerous precedent here. If we start charging for QOL changes, where does it stop?
Where does it stop?
Because we already know Ghost of Tsushima and Death Stranding are the first two. This is why we have not gotten a true Last of Us 2 update yet. They are waiting to package that in with factions as the complete edition sometime next year. I would not be surprised to see that, factions, and the Last of Us 1 remake all bundled together in a neat little $90 package a la Miles Morales and Spider-Man. I think that this sets a bit of a problem when, and like we said, you respond to what your competition does, right? And I think it's a bad look for the company that just had arguably the best lineup over a year in history to start charging for upgrades to their games now to play them the way that the gamers claim is the true way to play them. If I gotta pay for a fucking upgrade to God of War, I'm gonna actually scream. I joke, but that is a realistic question for me though, is where does it end? Where does the buck stop? Would this still be happening if Shuhei Yoshida or Sean Layden were in charge? Or is this a Jim Ryan thing of, fuck it, we can get a few more bucks out of these guys, and of the people who didn't own PS4s and own PS5s now, let's do it. I think that this is really bad. The Kojima one is slightly less bad to me because we talked about this last time. He always does a complete edition.
Yeah.
But I still think locking, and I don't care if you want to add missions, gameplay, etc. Cool, go for it. That is an optional expansion. To play the game the way that it should be played, though, that is inexcusable when you have another company doing that for free. Nintendo is the exception and the outlier here, and I won't brag on them for this because they're literally bringing games to a new format. You cannot take a Wii U disc and pop it into your Switch. That is slightly different to me. So they have to charge that full price again. There is no way to do a discount there.
And I feel like kind of like with Nintendo, when they pick and choose their games, it's from a generation of a system that is not available on sometimes.
I mean, sure, but also almost any Wii U game worth a damn has been ported over in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So, at least, with Sony, it's we're going to bring over the titles from last year, and it's just okay, these machines are already significantly better than the PS4, the base PS4 you developed them for. Why is it not? And I mean, I've noticed performance enhancements in loading, especially automatically, right? And these machines should be doing that. But it just keeps coming back to my core thing of one company is doing this, and it's really cool that you're doing this for free. And I understand why you're doing it for free. I have no doubt in my mind that if Microsoft was ahead, they'd be full on charging you for the upgrade to Master Chief Collection that they just did, for the upgrades to Quantum Break that they've done, for the ones they've done for the Gears games. No doubt in my mind. But it sets a bad precedent, I think. And I think third parties are watching this real carefully going, what do we do? Or that Sony took a look at what Black Ops Cold War did last year and went, hey, they didn't suffer any problems at all. Them and 2K did great. Let's do that. Let's charge a few more bucks for this. I don't think they have too many more games they can do this on, frankly, after The Last of Us.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think beyond that, I do think that they're going to hear the fan uproar pretty loud. Death Stranding, I think we all just kind of went, okay, it's a Kojima thing. We're going to kind of ignore it. Ghost of Tsushima, though, its upgrade thing, not only is it bullshit that you're locking the 60 frames and 4K and things like that behind it, it is a very confusing price structure. I have read this so many times, and I'm still confused as to which upgrade I need to buy.
Right.
But and that's why when LeBron broke it down and we was
Mhm.
doing it, I was more upset about that price structure. I wasn't
I'm
mad
upset about both. I think it's frankly ridiculous, and nowhere should accessibility options and the optimal version of your game be locked behind there, especially when it is not even. It is just now crossing a year old, like
right,
last week.
and that's why I was just like, that's why it was just so weird to me that they announced it and they'd be like, yeah, it'll be out in a month or two, and these are the different price points. I'm like, wait, what the world is this? And I connected it to, sorry to say this, the Arkham Knight DLC.
Mhm.
When they were trying to charge you $40 for something you did not know what you was getting. I kind of felt like that with Ghost of Tsushima. I'm like, why are you trying to charge this much money and we don't even know what we're getting? Like, you didn't break anything down on why we're being charged this much.
Oh, trust me, I hear everything you guys are saying. I love
I
the
don't think there's a
discussion.
right or a wrong answer here, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was also under that same mindset. You know, here's my two takes on this.
Mhm.
And I actually said in chat, gamers set themselves up for disappointment and stuff like that. Like I
Yep.
said earlier, like Sony never promised us that all next gen upgrades were going to be free. Sony never promised.
No.
Sony never promised us that. You know, but also in the same stroke, you know, like when an expectation gets set, we need, you know, like there needs to be some consistency with it, you know, like stuff like that, you know. If you're gonna pick and choose, like I guess you pick and chose correctly with Ghost of Tsushima. It's like your hottest selling title right now. Like you're getting the movie, you're probably getting a Netflix or an Amazon or HBO Plus show out of this crap. You know, after the movie's over, you're probably gonna get. Well, no, you're getting comic books. We already know a graphic novel's coming. We also know there's probably gonna be an anime coming.
There's absolutely a sequel coming to this game too.
Oh yeah, there's absolutely a sequel. Ghost Iki probably would. Iki Island probably was a sequel.
That probably would have been the tutorial area, frankly.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us think that the second one is taking place in mainland Japan.
Yeah.
So it comes down to this at the end of the day. LeRon, I think you're absolutely right. Corporations are not your friends.
True.
Like I scream this on every show I'm on. Corporations are not your friends. Expecting anything from a corporation is a bad move. That being said, you can use your voice, and social media is so great for this, as long as you're not abusing it, to make your displeasure known. I've seen so many people express their contempt for the Ghost of Tsushima stuff, and personally, I'm going to look for whatever version of this will give me simply the DLC. I'm not paying the extra money to get my QOL changes. I will wait. I will play an inferior version of the game to make a point here that I am not okay with that.
And you know what? Some of these Sony would not care, because once they hit that 1 million mark, it's going to be them to them.
But it comes down to anybody complaining. Vote with your wallet. Don't stream about it on a podcast or on social media.
It literally will not matter when those numbers come out and they report it. The same thing happened to Skyward Sword, and it hit number 2 in Europe. It's been hitting records and stuff. And after
using that.
I'm just saying, after everybody complained about this game and complained about that price point, look at where those numbers hit. And if that same thing can happen to Sony, that's all that matters to Sony. If they can hit the numbers and get that money, it don't matter what you say.
No, it's the business. That's the whole point.
And like I said, like gamers set themselves up for this stuff. That's really what it is, because
they are literally stretching the boundaries to see what they can get away with right now. Because who's to say this is where the buck stops? Like, we're only going to do it on these 2 games. It's going to happen again with The Last of Us next year. I wouldn't be shocked if Factions is exclusive to that, to the re-released version on PS5. It's where do we stop it? Like, we're going to inch a little bit farther each time until people finally get fed up with it.
Yep.
And that's why my argument is, if you don't like it, you take your stand here and you keep to it.
Yeah.
Enjoy the DLC without paying the extra amount.
And you know what? Here's the thing about it. Like, you know, because I feel like for this is gonna sound so bad, but I feel like gamers can be so stupidly like narrow-minded sometimes. We got friends that we can just borrow their PS4 and play the damn game.
It's not even that. I think people who are complaining about this like I said, they're gonna
They're
wait
gonna
till
buy
Black
it.
Friday.
They're
They're
gonna
gonna buy
buy
it.
it.
They're gonna wait.
They're gonna buy it.
They're gonna wait till the Black Friday sale come on, and they're gonna get that game, and then they're gonna stream it and talk about it. Be like, I got this. I complained about it, but I got this deal for $5.99.
But
I
you
was
know,
about
but
to say,
but
they gonna
but
wait
you know,
till
but you know,
wholesale?
actually, wait. I just realized something. Ghost of Tsushima just got its first permanent price drop. It's now $40. Like, I really don't feel like there's much room to complain.
No, but see, here's where they get you though. It's $40, but if you want the optimal PS5 experience, it's going to be another $30 when Iki Island comes out. You're paying that $70 no matter what.
You're paying the PS5 price.
I bought it for $40 when it went on sale before E3, and I'll tell you right now, they're getting $20 out of me for the DLC and not a dime more.
And see,
I'm not paying for quality of. I'm going to die on this hill. I don't care if I sound like a brat right now. I am not paying for something that should be for a game that sold 7 million copies to date that I should be getting for free.
I paid the $60 that the game came out along with Paper Mario. And so that's why I'm just like, I don't need to.
You shouldn't have to pay for it either. Nobody should have to pay for better frame rates.
That's the honest fucking truth right there. That's the honest truth.
And I literally told LeRon that if it's the same content and stuff that I've been doing in the main game, I don't care what the quality of life thing is. To me personally, it's going to be a redundancy because I did all of this in the main game. So if you don't offer me anything new, gameplay wise,
move on. Don't waste your time.
I'm not going to do it.
Then it's not for you.
That's why I said. That's why I said reviews are going to be important. Don't just hop into something.
The reviews aren't with the way. Go ahead, Nellie. Oh, I was gonna say, go, Nellie.
I was about to say, some people don't even pay attention to the reviews because they're going to sit there and be like, oh, hey, what are you complaining about? This and that and this and that. But I'm like, that's why I said play it for yourself if you really want to play the game.
Yes. If you want to, yes. But if you are weary, if you got questions, if you want answers, if you like holding back, read a review. Simply read a review for some people. Don't just look at the score. See what you are getting so that you know that when you make that purchase, it was worth it.
Or ask your buddy who played the game.
No, better yet, have a sleepover if you just really want to save money.
Right. Yeah, go halfsies with somebody or something. I don't know. The final word I'm going to say here about this is that number one, as gamers, we just have to be true to ourselves. If we know for sure we're going to buy this game, we can't complain about what's happening with it. We can't. If we know for sure we are not going to buy this game, we need to stick firm to our words. Even if that means this damn thing drops to $10 at Walmart. Because at the end of the day, what these companies worry about is the overall sales of the game, and they don't care how they get the sale. They don't care if they get it at $70, for the regular editions, or they don't care if they get it at $10. Every time they get a new number that says, "Oh, this hit 1 million copies sold," guess what? They win, stuff like that. So gamers just have to be diligent about what they're going to do. And circling back to that Skyward Sword thing, gamers were vocal about that thing, and the fact that it debuted at number 2 on the charts let us know right there. Gamers are full of shit.
Can't make everybody act pretty much.
Gamers are full of shit. Gamers are full of shit. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's gonna be in your DMs. Watch.
You know what? We're about to plug ourselves anyway, so they know where to find me. They know where to find me.
I'm being your DMs like LeRon. You okay?
Right. There has been times I have jumped into the Ross Studio podcasting it with my answers. But